Energy, right? Today. Energy. Today and next Tuesday, the last topic for the semester, energy. Right? And there are two questions, number 5 and 6. So number 5 will be today's lecture. Number 6, next Tuesday. So today mostly I'm going to talk about number 5. Okay, if you read the chapter on oil and energy, it's just 2 old stories, very basic. So what you have to do is to update the chapter. The focus must be on some of the recent changes regarding North American shale revolution and how that sort of, the key question, number 5, the economic and geopolitical consequences of North American shale revolution. Here the question I'm asking is the U.S. North American shale revolution, how that is changing traditional structure of energy politics. That's the question. In 2 respects, economically and also in geopolitics. So what we have to do today, I think, is number 1, I think that what is North American shale revolution? That's the first. Why is it so important? What is it? What is shale energy? Right? So first we need to examine the nature of the shale revolution. Unconventional energy. Shale energy is unconventional energy. How is it different from conventional energy? Which country has it? Why only North American? Right? Why did it begin? Why did the revolution begin in North America, which is Canada and the United States? So what is it first, right? What is it? What is unconventional energy? What is shale energy? Why in America and Canada? That's the first question, like a basic, just the basic information about unconventional energy, shale gas, shale oil, right? The importance of it, right? And what is going on now, right? Currently, how much is America producing shale gas, right? There are discussions about the boom, but the bust, right? Some argue that shale revolution will bust, right? There were natural gas prices fall, 2012, right? What happened since then? Why did natural gas prices in America fall in 2012, right? And then many companies, many shale gas companies, they went bankrupt since 2012. So then, is it the end of U.S. shale revolution, right? So some caution surrounding U.S. shale revolution. So we want to know what's going on currently, right? Is it sustainable? Is it sustainable revolution? How much America is producing? Can America export? Can America export shale gas? What happens if America exported natural gas in the form of LNG? Right? So these are the discussions surrounding potential U.S. LNG exports. Right? For the first time in history, America is becoming an LNG exporter. right? And the implication of potential U.S. LNG exports for the global economy, global natural gas market, and you see, two questions. I'm asking two questions. What are the economic consequences? Economic consequences. In other words, what happens if America exported LNG? Then what will happen to traditional LNG exporters, traditional natural gas exporters like Russia or Qatar in the Middle East, right? So naturally they become, fierce competitors. The U.S., Qatar, Russia, particularly U.S. and Russia, right? Russia is seen as one of the, right, the victims of Shale Revolution, right? Is Russia going to be hit hardest by the Shale Revolution, right? So what's going on today in Russia, right? What are the consequences of U.S. Shale Revolution for Russia in particular? Is Russia going to be suffering economically, right? So, I mean, there are lots of discussions about Russia's future. Russia's future as a natural gas exporter. Gazprom, the flagship company, natural gas exporting company, right? Is Gazprom going to, fall due to U.S. LNG exports? Ukrainian crisis, right? Although Ukrainian crisis is not explained 100% by this gas competition, right? There are lots of geopolitics to it, but I think natural gas, competition explains much of the Ukrainian incident, right? So, I mean, these are the questions we need to. Most important thing is we need to understand correctly the nature of the U.S. shale revolution, because some argue that U.S. shale revolution there is no substance, a lot of fantasy about U.S. shale revolution. So we need to understand correctly the nature of the U.S. shale revolution. Right? That is most important thing. The second aspect, can the U.S. shale revolution be exported to other countries? This is the second aspect, which is going to have a huge implication for global natural gas market, global economy, and global geopolitics. At the moment, I think the shale revolution is limited to the North American continent. Only Canada and the United States. Right? Only Canada and the United States. But reserves are found in many different places outside the North American continent, right? Including, particularly the biggest reserve is found in China. Right? China is the biggest reserve holder of shale gas. Right? 1.5 times of the U.S. shale gas reserves. So China is the biggest country in terms of shale reserves, right? Potential. But China is lacking technology, right? So they know they have it, but they don't have the technology to get it out, right? So China, somehow they have to make a coalition, right? Coalition with international companies, and some support from the United States. Right? China is number one reserve holder. Second There are many other countries that have not as much as the U.S. China is bigger than the U.S., but most other countries not as much as the U.S., not to speak of China. But there are many countries that have a lot of natural gas, shale gas, right? Including many European countries, particularly France. They have lots of it. France has lots of it, right? Poland has lots of it. Poland. France and Poland, they are the biggest reserve holder in Europe. Okay. Then several other European countries. But two biggest reserve holder in Europe is France, Poland, these two countries. But Poland, shale gas exploration, extraction is legally banned in France, right? Due to, shale gas poses many risks and problems. It's not technologically complete yet, right? So that it just like a conjecture. There's no proven theories about all this. We guess that shale gas extraction might pose a lot of environmental hazards and risks, right? But there's no substantive evidence. We are still studying it, right? But just hypothesis. It might pose some environmental risks and hazards. So countries like France, they have banned legally, and several other countries, right? And many other European countries, they are still under debating whether or not they are going to push for shale gas extraction, right? Latin America, there are many countries that have a lot of shale gas reserves, right? Argentina, Mexico, Brazil, they all have lots of shale gas reserves, right? What does this mean? I think that someday, the North American shale revolution will be exported, will be replicated outside the United States, right? But we don't know when, right? But someday, right? Which is a good thing, in my opinion. The traditional politics of energy, if you read chapter on oil and energy, and also we had some debate, right? Some discussions about ups and downs in price fluctuations, right? Then geopolitics surrounding these price fluctuations. So most of energy politics during the 20th century was, I think, due to conflicts surrounding oil and energy due to limited number of places holding energy resources, right? That's the most important reason, particularly the Middle East or Russia, right? So there was a divide between energy riches and energy poor, right? So this was the biggest reason for energy conflicts for 100 years under the traditional energy system. But what this shale gas revolution means is that we might be entering an age when almost every country has energy resources. This is the biggest difference, right? In terms of reserves, every country has it. Almost every country has it. So this is the biggest difference between traditional energy system, non-traditional energy system, conventional energy system, unconventional energy system. And this is the importance of shale revolution, which America is leading. At the moment, America is the birthplace of shale revolution. But like I said, someday it'll be exported, it'll be replicated. then energy is simply, when that time comes, energy is simply abundant, right? In every place, right? I don't know whether that means energy conflicts will be ended, right? So we need to see the geopolitical implications, right, of shale revolution, which is in many respects, I think shale revolution will be introducing some open, right, and liberal type of changes into the energy market, right? And the geopolitics of it, Russian monopoly will be ended. Middle Eastern monopoly will be ended, right? So in the future, I don't know. I mean, the political future of the Middle East, due to shale revolution, we need to exercise a lot of imagination, right? Middle East will be maybe in some political chaos because their export revenues will be reduced, right? Which implies that either they will collapse as a system, as an energy exporter, or will they, I mean, they will change the entire system and will become a market economy and democracy, right? So these two extreme scenarios, depending on what they do, right? Russia, a little bit complicated scenario we can think of. But under the shale scenario, I don't think Russia can enjoy as much power as they enjoyed in the traditional energy system. So same goes for Russia. Russia, to enjoy same amount of power, they need to change the internal system, reform the economy, so that they reduce the energy exports, right? I mean, they have to reduce the energy exports because, you know, the market implication of shale revolution, like I said, we are entering a liberal energy system, right? Open energy system, which is quite new. I mean, energy has always been, right, monopoly, right? Non-competitive system. That is changing. So the implication of that for Russia, I think it'll have many implications. I mean, Russian political system, I think, has to change. I mean, in favor of more open, right? We learned that from the resource curse theory, right? The higher the oil price, right, the political system, the more closed the political system. So in the shale age, I think Russia somehow, right, they have to change the political system, right? Economically also, I think in the shale age, energy prices will go down, right? In the shale age, in the unconventional energy, because suppliers will be much more diverse than in the traditional energy system, right? Price was fluctuating in the old energy system because always demand exceeded the supply, right? But in the shale system, the other way around. Supply will be much more abundant than demand, right? So prices might go down, so that the revenues Russia was earning must be smaller, right? So Russia might have to prepare for that in terms of politics and in terms of, you know, the economy, right? Middle East, same goes for the Middle East, right? And foreign policy of Russia have to change, right? So everything will be changed. So the question I'm asking here, what's the economic implication? What's the economic consequences? Right? Economic consequences. You can say many different things. First, economics of energy prices will be changed. That's one argument you can make, right? And energy, if you study energy, always there are many different energy sources. Most two important sources are oil and gas, right? So you need to divide energy into two different items, like oil and natural gas. And natural gas, shale and unconventional energy is mostly about natural gas, right? The reason why natural gas has become at the center of our discussion is that I think the turning point was 2011, March 2011, right? March 2011. There was the Fukushima accident in Japan. The immediate outcome of the Fukushima accident, March 2011, was that nuclear energy, right? We relied on for many years, right? We no longer rely on nuclear energy. That's the meaning of Fukushima accident. Then we had to find alternative energy, which was natural gas. That's how natural gas began to rise, began to emerge as an alternative energy. Natural gas has some advantages, right? Compared to nuclear energy, compared to oil, right? Compared to nuclear energy, natural gas, safe, much more safe, low cost, right? Nuclear energy, when do you use nuclear energy mostly? For what? For what energy? Like electricity. Yeah, electricity is the most important, biggest consumption, right? Through power plant, right? Nuclear power plant. So Japan has 52 nuclear power plants before the accident, but 50 right after the accident. 50 was closed down, right? Shut down. 50 shut down. So that Japan was crisis, right? Energy crisis. So that Japan had to search for alternative energy. I mean, natural gas. Japan went to Russia and Qatar and many other countries to purchase additional natural gas, right? Natural gas is very useful for electricity generation. You can use it power plants, LNG power plant, right? Very useful. So it's a replacement for nuclear energy, right? Natural gas, safe and low cost. And natural gas is a replacement for oil and coal. Oil and coal, again, when do you use it? You use it for various places, but you use it, much of it for, again, power plants. Right? So these power plants, oil and coal-based power plants, are demolished. Old oil and coal-based power plants demolished, and you turn it into LNG power plants. That has been the trend. Again, low cost, right? Maybe it takes more money, additional money to demolish it and rebuild it. But once you put it in place, right? And second advantage, it's a clean energy. Clean energy, right? Because we are living in a climate change, right, age. So natural gas, still fossil fuel, like coal and oil, but the cleanest fossil fuel. That's the advantage. Natural gas is the cleanest fossil fuel. So scientists, governments, they have studied, for so many years, alternative energy, right? It must be effective, clean, low cost, right? And the energy that meet these requirements, right? Natural gas. Nuclear energy is still attractive, very attractive, particularly in terms of, effectiveness, efficiency, very efficient energy, but technologically still very dangerous, right? Safety requirements. We don't meet these safety requirements yet, right? Nuclear energy. So natural gas has many advantages, and that's why many countries they sort of turn to natural gas as a replacement for oil, coal, nuclear energy, right? So that natural gas trading has increased dramatically over the last several years, right? You can see that, right? You can see that. So natural gas has become, more important than oil, nuclear energy, and coal. Then we have this technological breakthrough called Shale Revolution. Let's discuss then what is Shale Revolution. When did it happen, right? Shale Revolution is a technological breakthrough that sort of made it possible to extract natural gas, okay, natural gas, using two unconventional technologies, okay, two unconventional technologies. From 3,000 to 4,000 kilometer deep underground, right? Natural gas trapped in shale rocks, right? 3,000 kilometer. From the 3,000 kilometer, 4,000 kilometer, from shale rocks, trapped in shale rocks, you extract natural gas out of these shale rocks. That's shale gas. If you get it out, that's shale gas, right? Then what's the difference between shale gas and just natural gas, conventional natural gas? The difference? Nothing. Once you get it out, same natural gas. I've been asked this question so many times. I was on just last when was it? Last Friday? I was on YTN. NBC, YTN, they are interested in this. So they call me, then I'm asked this question. What is shale gas? What's the difference? How is it different from natural gas? No difference. Once you get it out, same natural gas. The only difference is it comes from 3,000 underground. 4,000 underground. It comes from shale rocks. Right? That's the only difference. So unconventional natural gas, which is shale gas, the difference it makes is technologies you extract from shale rocks. Then what are these two key technologies? This shale gas trapped in shale rocks, the knowledge about it, maybe it goes back to almost 50 or 60 years ago. Geologists, they knew about it long time ago, but they didn't know how to get it out, right? But American geologists, finally they cracked the code, the secret code of extracting this difficult natural gas from shale rocks in the 2000s, right? So 2000, 2004, 2005, those are the years when American shale companies began to extract natural gas, shale gas, in Texas, right? 2004, 2005. That was the beginning of the extraction of shale gas from Texas. 2009, right? Just 5 years into the beginning of Shale Revolution, 2009, America began to produce lots of shale gas. Only 5 years after the beginning. So commercial production began 2009. Commercial production, right? Commercial production means that the cost of extracting it went down dramatically. That's the meaning. Right? 2009. Then 2011, 30% of US natural gas production, right? 30% of US natural gas production comes from shale gas. You know the speed, right? You have to know the speed in which America, right, succeeded in this shale gas revolution. Only 5 or 6 years. It's an amazing story. American government didn't know about this. Just, you know, small natural gas companies, small and medium-sized natural gas companies, they were working on, you know, shale gas fields, natural gas fields in Texas, beginning, right? In the very beginning. The government didn't know. The government was preparing to import natural gas until 2009. So American government, you know, sort of built importing facilities, right? Here and there. Then 2009, there was a news about, you know, this commercial production from Texas, right? So what did the American government do? They turned these importing facilities into exporting facilities, exporting terminals, right? So they are now preparing for exports instead of importing. This shows the speed, right? The speed. So 2009, commercial production. 2004, beginning. 2009, commercial production, right? 2011, 30% share of natural gas production. Currently, I think shale revolution continues. Despite some critics, I think U.S. shale revolution continues and growing. Shale gas production is growing. Now 45% of U.S. natural gas production comes from shale gas. 45%. Globally, do you know globally? Globally, still 85% traditional natural gas. Okay? Traditional natural gas. Controlled by Qatar and Russia. Two big powers in traditional natural gas, Qatar, Russia. These are two big powers in conventional natural gas. And only 15% natural gas, unconventional natural gas, which is shale gas. So I think in the future, what you have to do after this class, after this semester is how much increase, right, for the unconventional portion, right, in the future. Is Russia going to lose, right? So look at this. So question number 5 is about this. So this shows, natural gas business is very global business. There are lots of countries that export and import natural gas, but the flows of natural gas have changed after the U.S. Shale Revolution. This map shows how those natural gas flows have changed after the Shale Revolution. And like I said, the most important flow will be like a potential flows out of the United States, right? So the market impact and geopolitical impact, that's something you need to think about. So these are natural gas flows before Shale Revolution. So why don't you look at how natural gas, like which countries imported and exported. You know what? This conventional natural gas trading. First, I think, America was. These are some of the big flows, right? America imports a lot of natural gas from Canada, right? And second, big flow between Europe and Russia. Okay, Europe, is a huge natural gas consumer. Russia exports 40% of EU consumption. This relationship, Europe-Russian relationship, due to Ukrainian crisis, right? Due to Ukrainian crisis, this relationship is being looked at again. Very important relationship, natural gas relationship. Geopolitics of EU-Russian natural gas, very important relationship. EU thinks that they are strategically dependent on Russia. Right? They want to cut down on Russian imports. But somehow EU-Russia natural gas relations are interdependent. Right? Europe needs Russian natural gas. Russia needs European imports. Right? Also from Middle East, right? Also from Middle East. Now, another important area, Northeast Asia. Right? So these are big consumers: U.S., Europe, Asia. No doubt, these are big consumers. Big consumers. When you import and export natural gas, there are two ways of importing and exporting, right? In terms of transportation, U.S., Canada, no doubt, pipeline. Russia, EU, pipeline. This is called PNG, piped natural gas. Piped natural gas. Russian natural gas power relies on PNG. Russian natural gas exports almost 100% rely on PNG, pipelines. That's how Russia exports natural gas, PNG, particularly to European countries. PNG, these are PNGs. Now, so both US, EU, PNG, right? But look at Asia. Look at Asia. Geography of Asia, quite different. Quite different. Again, Asia, particularly Northeast Asia. Here we have Korea, Japan, China, right? CJK. How do they import natural gas? They are big natural gas consumers. How do they import natural gas? CJKT. Yeah, a little bit different. China I mean, China compared to Japan and Korea. I mean, CJK, particularly Japan and Korea, right? It all depends on geography. Particularly Japan and Korea, almost 100% LNG. Ships, right? We import natural gas through ships, not pipelines, due to geography. So, particularly Japan. Japan is the #1 LNG importer, right? Korea, #2. Biggest LNG importers, right? Korea relies on LNG because of North Korea. Right? We are blocked by North Korea. So Korea is technically island. Japan is an island, but Korea technically due to North Korea is an island. So Korea, Japan, Taiwan, big natural gas importers, LNG importers. Right? Then from which country CJKT import most of LNG? CJKT, they are biggest LNG importers. Most LNG comes from Middle East. Middle East. So in terms of energy security, CJKT, all of them are, in terms of energy security, they are not safe, right? Because we rely too much on Middle East. We need to spread out the risks. That's the goal of energy security policy for CJKT. But it is difficult to spread out, right? Almost all of it comes from the Middle East, right? Europe, relatively better, like I said. Africa, they have Africa, Russia, Middle East, right? Relatively spread out, although they say that they are dependent on Russia, right? But CJKT, very vulnerable. Very vulnerable, right? So that prices we pay, additional problem, right? Additional problem is in terms of price, CJKT have paid high premium because of this. So CJKT, this is a problem, energy problem of Asia. CJKT, despite the fact that they import the biggest amount, they have paid the highest premium. This is the problem, right? We need to change it. But because of this structure, right, this monopoly structure, CJKT didn't have negotiating power vis-a-vis Middle Eastern exporters like Qatar. So we need to increase the number of suppliers in terms of negotiating power and to bring up energy security, right? These are the goals of Asian countries' energy policy, to increase the number of suppliers. One question might arise if you look at this map. Russia, very close to CJKT. Russia, right? Close, but nothing comes from Russia. This is another irony. Right? It's close, but nothing comes from Russia. The reason, you need to study why CJKT do not import from Russia, do not import natural gas from Russia. This is the very important question for Asian countries. Right? Why Russia cannot export natural gas and oil to Asian countries? CJKT import some from Southeast Asia. except Middle East, some from Southeast Asia, because you have some exporters from Southeast Asia, like Malaysia, Indonesia. They are big natural gas, LNG exporters. Right? So if we diversify, we can diversify into Southeast Asian exporters. Now, so this is the conventional, like flows and conventional geopolitics. What does this mean in terms of geopolitics? If you look at this, Russia doesn't have geopolitical influence on CJKT, right? Because Russia doesn't export. Russia has a lot of geopolitical influence on Europe, but doesn't have on Asian countries, right? And another thing, US doesn't have energy relations with Asian countries, only military or trading. So US-ROC alliance or US-Japan alliance is alliance along military and trading, FTA, right? Things like that. But nothing about energy alliance. This will change after the US Shale Revolution. Things are changing already after 2009. Like I said, commercial production period. Things have changed since 2009, right? Unknowingly. In other words, things are changing in favor of more contacts between US and Northeast Asia. More contacts. Intense contacts between US and Asia. Along, right, military trading, but additional axis is energy. Right? So I show you then what happens after the Shale Revolution. Some Russian, but let's put it aside a little bit for the moment. What happens after the Shale Revolution? You need to look closely because some arrows are changing. See that? Again. So one change will be this. Right? And second, this is an interesting change. This is an interesting change. I mean, US is becoming independent, right? In terms of natural gas and more increasingly oil, right? Because oil also comes from shale, right? So America is becoming an independent country in terms of energy, so that America will be self-sufficient in terms of natural gas. So Canadian imports decreased dramatically, right? Lots of changes because of this. Canadians are looking for new customers, replacing the US. Right? What are these new customers for Canadians? Canadian new customers will be either China, Japan, Korea. So Canada and the US, they're competing to develop markets here. Right? And Canada has its own shale gas fields. Canada is welcoming investment from Asian countries. So this is change, another change. Oh, what was it? I didn't even see. Right. How would you explain this? Why would Russia increase exports? I mean, whether Russia can increase natural gas exports to Asian countries. The three countries are China, Japan, Korea, right? And we need to look at from bilateral relations perspective, so that Russia-Chinese relations, Russia-Japanese relations, Russia-Korean relations, right? And I think number one reason why Russia looks to, this means that Russia looks to Asia rather than to Europe, right? So Russia is reorienting its foreign policy toward Asian countries. This has been a very popular topic about Russian, energy policy or Russian foreign policy in general. The reason, for this shift in Russian foreign policy is that due to Shale Revolution, Russia is losing market in Europe, natural gas market. Okay, losing market here, then as a replacement for European exports, they look to Asian countries. This is number one reason why Russia looks to Asian countries.
Professor, does it include North Korea also? Russian foreign policy?
Sure. So when Russia looks east, right? Then, like I said, the main customers are three countries: China, Japan, Korea. The biggest market, China. I mean, no doubt about it, right? The second biggest market, Japan. Korea, smallest, but still big, right? But the problem is this Russian strategy, new strategy, Russian energy strategy, which is a very clever strategy. Russia has to, I mean, naturally, because Russia sort of looks both ways, right? Russian continent, geographically, connected both to Europe and Asia, right? But so far, they have failed to develop relations with Asian countries, right? But due to Shale Revolution, natural gas market is changing. Like I said, it's opening. It's becoming liberalized, right? Why European market lost, the reason for that, it's a very interesting dynamics behind how Russia lost natural gas market in Europe. All these changes happened because, not because America is already exporting natural gas. America is not exporting natural gas, right? Still they are developing, but not yet exporting. All these changes are happening not because, like I said, America is exporting, but because the imports, right, headed for the US market are diverted to other markets just because of that. Right? In other words, let me tell you how Russia lost market in Europe. First, the Middle Eastern LNG exports, right, that were supposed to head for the US market, right? They changed directions and supply to European consumers. I'm talking about 2009, okay? 2009, commercial production began, right? Lots of natural gas began to be produced in the US, right? America doesn't need to import natural gas. So that ships, right, departing from Qatar, they were heading to the US market, right? But they realized America has lots of natural gas. Change directions, okay? Then they head to the European market. So Europe, beginning 2009, they began to see lots of Qatari ships, LNG ships. The change this was introducing was that Europe, like I said, was importing a lot of Russian PNG. PNG, the difference between PNG and LNG PNG is long-term contracts. Long-term contracts. They sign a contract when they import natural gas through pipelines. They sign a contract for 20 years, 30 years. So many European countries, they feel vulnerable to Russian PNG imports because most of these contracts are long-term contracts. This begins to change. This begins to change after, like I said, many flexible Qatari ships are supplied to European market, cheaper than Russian PNG. Okay, these flexible ships, cheaper than Russian PNG. So this began to erode Russian exports to European market. I'm talking about 2009, 2010. Russia lost 20% of the market because of this change. So LNG market in Europe was beginning to be open, right? And prices going down. Prices are going down. Now, so this is step one. Step one. So what you begin to see is that prices in Europe going down, right? But still prices for natural gas still high in this region, Asian market, right? And Russia lost the market here, looking east, because much more profitable. Natural gas prices are much higher here, right? And volumes are immense, right? Huge. What's the Russian strategy, right? To expand their market into Asian countries. Russian strategy. So this is how Russian strategy began. Russian Asian energy strategy. First, they need to develop a market with China, develop a market with Japan, develop a market with Korea, right? Russia's strategy toward China, not successful until May 21st, 2014, right? Russia has failed. Russia has failed to persuade China to purchase Russian natural gas, because Chinese think that it's still expensive. Russian natural gas still expensive because it's PNG, right? Chinese import from Russia must be PNG. So that despite years of, 2 decades of negotiation, they haven't come to the agreement over prices. So Russia has failed. Then they come to Japan, right? This is how Russia do. I mean, they divide and rule China, Japan, Korea. Then they come to Japan. Japan, like you suggested, the way Japan can import natural gas from Russia is through island, Sakhalin Island. So Japanese option is LNG, not PNG. So Russian natural gas developed out of here, Sakhalin, right? Natural gas developed Sakhalin, then export to Japan through ships. This is how Japan was importing Russian natural gas. Korea, interesting country. Russia began to approach Korea. Okay, like I said, so far Korea was dependent on Middle East imports. Some Malaysia, Indonesia, but much of it from Qatar, just one country. And Russia is telling Korea, how about, right, building pipelines, right? So fields are here. Russian natural gas fields are here. Okay, and exploration here, build pipeline. But the problem is we have North Korea, right? So passing North Korea and reaching Korea. This option was offered 2011, August 2011. But the contract was not implemented, right? So delayed after 2012. So Russian strategy regarding Korea also has failed, right? So Russian plan was almost failing right up to the moment, I mean, the signing of Russia-Chinese natural gas agreement, right? Dated May 21st, 2014. Just 2 weeks ago, right? So still we need to examine, Russia has opened some link to China. Then we need yet to see whether or not Russia can open a line to Korea and also a line to Japan, right? And more importantly, I think, number 5, you need to think about I'm saying here, this is another important flow to think about from Australian, right? But more importantly, this one. US exports. This is the most important flow. When is the US going to export? How much? For what price? Right? Then you have to look at compared to Russian exports. So particularly after the Ukrainian crisis, two contending flows are US exports, Russian exports. So geopolitical consequences of US exports, potential exports, and Russian exports. Right? So these are the two, I think, Russian-US sort of a competition over the Asian market. Not just the market competition, but right, broad quest, US quest for influence in Asia. Right? Usually when great powers, right, they search for power, they come in the form of combination of, right, weapons, energy, right? That's exactly what's happening here. So geopolitical consequences of this. So according to plan, America is going to export LNG beginning 2017. And export terminals are waiting to be finished here. There are many exporting terminals here, and there are 6 of them completed. 6 of them currently. And 2 out of 6 will go to Korea. 2 out of 6. 4 out of 6 go to Japan. So Japan is much more aggressive in terms of purchasing US LNG than Korea. Then next lecture will be in conjunction with this. I mean, the significance of Russia-Chinese natural gas agreement. This is like a ongoing issue, the significance of it. Because China in and of itself is a very important customer. So let's continue next Tuesday on Russia-Chinese natural gas agreement.